G'day, it's Pete here and I'm back for a featured lesson, and today we're looking at the law of total tricks. Now it's not really a law. It's a guideline on how many tricks you'll be able to take and how many tricks your opponents will be able to take if you instead let them defend. So it's a guideline for sort of competitive bidding to help you judge whether or not you should actually bid on. So how does it actually work? So basically what is assumed is that if you play the hand twice, once by your side in your best fit and once by the opponents in their best fit, the total number of tricks the declaring sides will take will also equal the total number of trumps both declaring sides have. So if we play in an 8 card fit and they play in a 9 card fit, then they have 9 trumps, I have 8, that's 17 trumps. That will also equal 17 tricks. So that doesn't mean that I'll take 8 and they'll take 9, but it'll mean that if I take 9 tricks, then there's only 17 total tricks, they'll take 8. If I take 10 tricks, as there are only 17 total tricks, they'll make 7. So basically what you can use this for is a guideline to judge, is this going to, what score is more beneficial? So it's useful to know what the scores are, what will they get in the various cases or not. Anyway, let's just jump in and see how this actually works. So let's imagine we had this hand, and we'll ignore the bidding, but let's just say you play in 2 spades and the opponent's lead. Okay, so we get a hand like this. So if we wanted to plan the hand, let's see, we've got 8 spades between us and we're missing the king of spades, so we might lose a spade. We've got a heart loser. We've got 2 club losers and 2 diamond losers. Now, what things might affect this? So one thing is how the spade finesse. Is the king of spades on side? Does this player have the king of spades? Or is it over here? If this player here has the king of spades, then we don't have any losers. What about in clubs? If we play a club towards the jack, if the queen is over here, we don't have any losers. If it's over here, we do. Well, we at least have 1 fewer loser. If clubs break 3-3, we'll have a fewer losers. If they don't, we'll have another one. Also, what if the king, queen of diamonds are here? If the king, queen of diamonds are here, we won't have 2 losers, but only 1. Anyway, let's open it up and see where the cards are and how many tricks we actually think we'll take. Alright, so the ace of hearts lead. So we've swapped it up. So here, the spade finesse. Alright, the king's offside, so we have that 1 spade loser. The club queen, that's onside, so we can play a club to the jack. So that will work. We have those heart losers. The king, queen of diamonds are offside and the clubs don't break. So we'll lose 1 spade, 1 heart, 1 club because we've got that 4th club to lose, although you can technically get rid of it, and 2 diamonds. So we'll make 8 tricks. But if you're playing really carefully, you can make 9. Alright, let's now look at it from the other perspective. So let's backtrack and let's look at from the other perspective. And let's say we've got this hand and that we get to play it in 2 hearts. How are we going to go in this? So here we get a spade lead. So we'll make a plan here. We have no heart losers. We've got 3 spade losers, but now that they've led one with the ace being on the side, that will get rid of 1 of it. So we'll have 1 spade loser. We've got this other one, but we can trump that. This diamond is a loser, and clubs. If we could get to the north hand, we could play a club towards the 10, hoping that the jack's on side. If this player has the jack of clubs, then we may be able to reduce our losers down. But we've at least got 5 heart tricks, the king of spades. We can probably get a diamond and a diamond off. It feels like we'll be able to make 8 tricks on this hand. And yeah, so this is the same hand projecting what if we let it play both ways. And it looks like both will make 8 tricks. And if we open it all up, so here, north-south will make 8 tricks in spades, east-west will make 8 tricks in hearts, more or less. And also, if you look at how many trumps they have, East-West have 8 trumps, North-South have 8 spades. So there's 16 total trumps, so 16 total tricks, and this time it divided 8 and 8. But other times, North-South will make 9, East-West will make 7, and things like this. Now, why does this actually work this way? So one of the things that we discussed is if the spade finesse works, then we have one fewer spade loser. But you can see that here the spade finesse fails and East-West gets the king of spades. But if you then flipped it over and looked at it from the other side with East-West playing in hearts, they also have this spade finesse proposition where they want to lead towards the king of spades, but now they hope that the ace of spades is there and it works for them. So while the spade finesse loses for North-South, if East-West was playing the hand, it works for them. So finesses working or failing should even out. It just changes who gets the tricks, but it won't affect the total tricks that way, because one side gains a trick for the finesse working while the other one loses a trick for it failing in their side. So this is generally what the law of total tricks is. The number of trumps you have, the number of trumps they have, add them together, they're the total number of tricks. If the contract was played twice, then it should equal the number of trumps there are. And it doesn't mean that you'll always take as many tricks as trumps you have, but let's say if North-South takes 7 tricks, then East-West will take 9. So how would that affect the scoring? So here, if North-South take 8 tricks in spades and East-West take 8 tricks in hearts, obviously North-South wants to play in 2 spades. But if you're East-West, you'd be comparing your score of playing in, letting them play in 2 spades, which would be minus 110, to your option of now bidding onto 3 hearts. If you bid onto 3 hearts, you're still only taking 8 tricks, but you'll go down 1 for minus 50. So you could have minus 110 or minus 50, so you'll take that. But what about if East-West takes 9 tricks and North-South takes 7 then? Well then again East-West want to bid onto 3 hearts, because this time they're getting plus 140 instead of plus 50, so their positives are better. What about if North-South are the ones taking 9 tricks and giving East-West 7? Well, again, you want to bid onto 3 hearts, assuming the opponents don't double you, because they get plus 140, so East-West would be getting minus 140, and East-West could compare that to their minus 100. So in all of these cases, bidding onto 3 hearts for East-West is better. So that's what they would want to do on this hand. Whether they're taking 7, 8, or 9 tricks, all of those comparisons are actually better. So how you can actually use the law of total tricks in your game is you use it to work out the comparative scores and realizing that in the various ranges, is it good to actually bid on, or is it better to leave the opponents to it? So we'll look at some specific situations of when you can actually use it and how you can actually use it. And we'll also talk about a simpler method of it, but it's important to understand the general concept of it. But before we touch on that, we'll talk about when it doesn't work. So when doesn't the law of total tricks actually work? So there are some times that it's not as accurate, and we'll go through those. But firstly, the law of total tricks is really good for when the points are relatively evenly split. If one side has heaps and heaps of points, they're obviously the one that's going to take lots of tricks, and it's not as a good guide, because you usually want to work out if they're making where you're going and things like that. And if they've got lots of points, then it's not as good a guide. So it's mainly used in those competitive situations where the points are relatively evenly split, like 25-15, that would be about the cap of where I'd keep using it. Now, other things that might affect it, when there are short honours. So let's imagine someone's got a singleton king or something like that. What this means is that this will actually lower the total tricks, because the singleton, or at least may lower the total tricks. The singleton king may win a trick on defence because the opponents take a finesse and that finesse fails. But when you're declaring the side and they can see that singleton king, or they realise that hopping up with the ace is a good idea, then your singleton king is a lot worse at taking a trick. So as we mentioned before, how it can transfer the trick from one side to the other, and it doesn't matter if it wins or loses. Here, if you're defending, it's got a good chance of winning, but if you're declaring, it's got a bad chance of winning because they either can see it and realize they can put their ace on it. So that means that it actually just lowers the trick count. So short honors, doubleton queens, singleton kings, things like this are better for defense, and they tend to lower the trick count, so you want to be more cautious when thinking about bidding when using that, if you've got those short honors. Other things that can improve the trick count, make it better to be bidding it on. First one is having a double fit. So if there are two fits for your side, there are often more tricks available than what the law of total tricks should say. So if you find out you have a double fit, be more aggressive, try and compete more. Also, extreme hands. If you've got like 11 cards between two suits, these very distributional hands often do really well with trick-taking potential. So if you have an extreme hand, it's often right to bid on rather than letting the opponents play. So extreme hands and double fits are a couple of really good reasons why you should be bidding on more rather than letting it go. Another time that you want to backtrack a bit is when you have mirrored hand shapes. If you have the identical hand shape to your partner, these hands take far fewer tricks than what would suggest, so mirrored hand shapes are pretty bad for it. So a couple of good things, a couple of bad things, and you want to pay attention to if you can spot them and realize that you either want to be bidding on more or if you want to be bidding on less because of that. Okay, so let's look at a couple more examples here. So here we've got a singleton king with this west hand. We'll look at the total tricks on this. So we'll start off with north-south. We've got the hands. They've got a spade fit here. Now what they've got is they have one heart loser. They have two club losers because the ace king of clubs are on side. And they've got two diamond losers. Now if the opponents could orchestrate a diamond ruff, but they can't quite manage it. So they'll lose two diamonds, two clubs, and a heart. So they make 8 tricks north-south. Okay. Now we'll look at the east-west. So east-west, let's imagine they're playing this hand in hearts. How will they go? So they have one spade loser, one heart loser. They have no diamond losers because they can ruff both of those. And they've got 10, 9, 8 of clubs opposite ace, king, fourth. So here, ace, king, fourth club. If the queen, jack of clubs were in south, then they would be able to pick that up for no losers, but they'll lose a club here. So they have a club loser, a heart loser, and a spade loser. So this time, there's one extra trick than what it would suggest. So east-west can make 10 tricks. They lose one spade, one heart, and one club. And north-south can make 8 tricks. They lose 2 diamonds, 2 clubs, and a heart. But what the law of total tricks should suggest is that there's 8 tricks for north-south, 8 trumps for north-south, and 9 trumps for east-west. So there are 17 total tricks. But on the actual hand, there are 18 total tricks. So this is why the law of total tricks is a guideline. It's not 100% accurate, but it's a good estimate of how many tricks are available and a guideline you should use when trying to judge whether or not you should bid on or not. Alright, so just a couple of examples of how they actually work, or how you can try and apply it. So let's look at some specific situations. So the situations that I want to talk about are when we're preempting and raising partners' preempts, talking about our major suit raises, and how you should, a way that you can consider using these major suit raises, part score battles, what this actually tells you about part score battles, and sacrificing. These are like the 4 main areas where the law of total tricks is a good judge of whether or not you should bid on. So let's start with major suit raises. So let's say that our partner opens 1 spade and the next hand passes. Now, one of the things about major suit raises is here we know we have at least 9 spades. My partner's got 5 and we have 4. You can pretty much always assume your opponents have a fit somewhere. It's very unlikely that your opponents don't have a fit, But a simpler way of using the law of total tricks is just working out how many trumps your side has, because trying to judge how many trumps the opponents have is really, really tricky. So most people simplify it and use the law of total tricks based on how many trumps they have, assuming the opponents do have a fit somewhere. So here, we have 4 spades and our opponents have 5. So we have 9, and basically if you have a 9 card fit, competing to the 3 level is usually a good idea. In fact, let's just take a moment and look at how part score battles do work. So let's look at some part score battles of if we have 16 total tricks, and looking at the different vulnerabilities. So how this actually works here is, let's say that we've both got 8 card fits, and the top line is the opponents playing at the 2 level, and the other options are us playing at the 2 level or us playing at the 3 level. So if it's nil vol and there are 16 total tricks, if the opponents make 9, then we have 7, so we'd be converting minus 140 into minus 50. If they're making 8, we're converting minus 110 into plus 110. And if they're making 7 tricks, we're turning plus 50 into plus 140. So for all of these cases, bidding at the 2 level over their 2 level contract is a good idea. What about getting to the 3 level? So here, if we're considering getting to the 3 level, so we'd be converting minus 140, where they're making 9 tricks, into minus 100. Them making 8 would be minus 110 into minus 50. Or them only making 7 tricks is plus 50 into plus 140. So again, in all of those cases, bidding to the 3 level is also good when we're nil vulnerable. If it's all vulnerable, it's a little bit different. Let's just look at the 2 level. It's always better for us to be bidding. So if, regardless of vulnerability, if the opponents are at the 2 level and you're thinking about bidding to the 2 level, do it. It is always right for you to bid 2 over 2. If they have a fit and you have a fit. So the 2 level, regardless of vulnerability, is always right. There's always win conditions, assuming that you don't go lots off, which can happen if the opponents have the majority of the points. But the normal spectrum we're looking at. But the 3 level, if we bid to the 3 level and they're making 9 tricks, we go for minus 200, which is worse than their minus 140. Whereas if they're making 8 tricks, we had minus 110 and we turned it into minus 100, so slightly better. And if they're going down, they are we turned our plus 100 into plus 140. So we had sort of 2 win cases, one of them very slight, and we had 1 lose case there. So when you're vulnerable, it's a little bit more dicey going to the 3 level, but it's still generally right if we both have 8 card fits. We've got more win conditions than lose conditions. So basically, going to the 3 level is okay. Going to the 2 level, definitely do it. But bidding 3 over 2, if we're nil vol, always it's right to do it. If we've got a fit, that is, and we can find a fit. If it's all vol, it's still generally right, and you'll still want to typically bid 3 over 2, but it's a little bit more sketchy. So let's now look at another one. Alright, so let's now say that we're considering bidding 3 over 3. So again, it's nil vol. So the opponents have 16 total tricks, and it's nil vol, and if they're making 9 tricks, we're losing 140, and we would convert that into minus 100, which is a better score. Whereas if they're making 8 tricks, we're turning our plus 50 into a minus 50. And if they're making 7 tricks, we're turning our plus 100 into a plus 140. So there are 2 win cases, and only when it's 8 and 8 is it bad. So bidding 3 over 3 when it's nil vol can be okay, but it's not clear whether or not you should do it, especially in that most common case of both sides making 8. Also, it's assuming that your opponents don't double you if they're actually making that contract and you're going down 2. So someone said, I missed the beginning and don't follow why you are quoting 16 tricks. So 16 tricks, so the law of total tricks is just based on you add the number of trumps that you have in your best fit and the number of trumps the opponents have in their best fit. And if you played the contract twice, that would assume how many total tricks you have. So when I'm saying 16 total tricks, I'm assuming both sides have 8 card trump fits. If one side had a 9 card trump fit and the other one had an 8 card trump fit, it would assume that there are 17 total tricks. So basically how it works is you assume that the contract's played twice, and the amount of tricks that both declaring sides would take is equal to the total number of trumps there are. Now, it doesn't say that the side with 9 trumps will take 9 tricks, but it says that if the total number of tricks, let's say 16, where both sides have 8 card fits, if one side takes 8, the other side should take 8. Whereas if one side takes 9 tricks, there are only 7 remaining tricks, so if instead they would actually take 7. Hopefully that clears it up. So back to the 3 level, if it's all vulnerable and there are 16 tricks, then if they're making their 9, it's minus 200 for us if we bid on, because we've only got 7 tricks. If they're making 8, we turned our plus 100 into minus 100, and if they're making 7, we turned our plus 200 into plus 140. So every single one of these is a lose case. So basically the general guideline is if you've only got an 8 card fit, go to the 3 level. We're happy to be the side that is the first to bid to the 3 level because that gives us better options. But once your opponents are at the 3 level, it's a bad idea to bid 3 over 3. You don't want to, if your opponents are at the 3 level, you don't want to be bidding 3 over 3 with only an 8 card fit. Because if there are only 16 tricks, if you're vulnerable, it's a very bad proposition. If it's nil vol, it's a marginal proposition, you can consider it. But generally, bidding 3 over 3 with 8 card fits is not a great idea. But if you had a 9 card fit, let's say there are 17 total tricks, now it's a much better idea. So if we have a 9 card fit, bidding 3 over 3 is now a decent proposition. I won't put all the graphs up, but yeah, so 3 over 3 with an 8 card fit, bad idea. 3 over 3 with a 9 card fit, that's now getting better. So that's a bit about part scores and when you should do it. Should you bid 2 over 2? Yes. If you've got an 8 card fit, do it. Should you be the side that goes to the 3 level first? If you're vulnerable, probably, but not guaranteed. If you're not vulnerable, yes. So if you're not vulnerable, yes, be the side to go 3 over 3. But if you're vulnerable, it's a little bit sketchy. But you can still do it if you know that you have a fit and the points are pretty balanced, give it a shot. Should you be the side that bids to the 3 level once your opponents are at the 3 level? If you only have an 8 card fit, it's generally not worth it. So try avoid doing it. But if you have a 9 card fit, now that becomes a decent proposition and you should actually start trying to do it. So that's about part scores and how you can bring that into your game. What about major suit raises? So with that in mind, the structure of Bergen raises really applies this. And the idea is that if you have a 9 card fit, getting to that 3 level is completely okay. And the law of total tricks will protect you. So Bergen raises are set up so that you get to the 3 level first, which is decent, and takes away space from your opponents quickly. So if they do want to bid on, it's more difficult. But the law of total tricks should protect you anyway. So if you have 4 card trump support, being able to set it up so that you can get to the 3 level is okay, because the law of total tricks in part score battle suggests that that will be a decent proposition based on what options your opponents may score if you didn't do that instead. So basically, whatever it is, however your raise structure is, being able to get to 3 spades on a distributional 4 card support. Bergen doesn't bid it this way, but there are other ways of doing it. Then this is a good way. It's okay to have a major suit raise structure that realizes the power of extra trumps. Here, this extra trump, it allows you to make a distributional raise, whether it be 3 clubs being alertable or something else. This is the premise of Bergen raises, which allows you to when you have a 9 card fit, get to the 3 level quickly, which puts more pressure on your opponents. And even if they don't come into the auction, the Law of Total Tricks should protect your score because of what options your opponents had anyway. And if you just want to have a constructive bidding style, getting to game, realizing that you have that 9th trump can be useful as well. So lots of major suit raisers have ways of differentiating out whether you have just an 8 card fit or a 9 card fit. And this is because if it's a part score battle, knowing whether to bid on is a good idea, and being able to tell partner that we only have 8 or we have 9 is a valid thing to be able to do. And also, if we're trying to get to game, having a 9th trump is actually quite useful in being able to do that. Alright, so let's look at preempting. So let's say that this hand opened 2 diamonds, weak 2 in diamonds, and you are the partner. Alright, you've got this nice hand. Okay, what the Law of Total Tricks should suggest, or what people tend to do with preempting as a general guideline, is you raise to the level of number of trumps you have. Okay, so if the next hand passed, what you could do with this hand is, you're not interested in game opposite, well, you might be interested in game, but you really shouldn't be interested in game opposite a preempt here. You've got 14 high card points, and like in no trumps you would have 6 diamonds and a heart trick. So 3 no trumps isn't on. You wouldn't want to go to 5 diamonds to make. But what you can do is, when raising preempts, a good rule of thumb is to raise to the level of number of trumps you have, following this Law of Total Tricks sort of protection thing. So here, regardless of how many points you have, even if you took away the ace queen of hearts or the ace of diamonds and gave me a small diamond instead, if you've got 8 trumps, put it to the 2 level. If you've got 9 trumps, put it to the 3 level. If you've got 10 trumps, put it to the 4 level. So here, with this hand, you could raise to 4 diamonds, knowing that even if, you're not expecting this to make, but what you are doing is putting the most amount of pressure on the next person to act. And the Law of Total Tricks should protect you because of how good your trump fit is. So if you've got 10 trumps, put it to the 4 level. So here it might go 2 hearts past 4 hearts, or 2 diamonds past 4 diamonds, or 2 spades past 4 spades, depending on what trump fit you got. If you've got 10 trumps, raise it to the 4 level, regardless of how many points you have, because the bigger your trump fit is, it's sort of like either you're making something or the opponents are making something. And if you take away the space straight away, it makes it a lot tougher for them to choose the right action. So don't just postpone your decision and take it really slowly. But after your partner preempts, if you don't have any good reason, desire not to, and you need some, maybe you're a completely flat hand, or you've got no points, or sort of things like that, raise the preempt to the level of number of trumps you have. If I had a 4 count, I'd bid 4 diamonds as well. It's not based on how many points I have, even though this hand has lots of points. The idea is you want to consume as much space as you can from the opponent. So when your partner preempts, a good rule of thumb is to raise the preempt to the level of number of trumps you have. If you've got 10 trumps, send it to the level that requires 10 tricks to make. So we've got 10 trumps, so bumping it up to the 4 diamond level is a good idea. So that's a little bit about over preempts. And then sacrificing. Let's say that we had this hand and the opponent's, we opened 3 spades on it. Okay, and let's now just jump to our partner's hand. This is a wild hand. Remember that when I said extreme hands, the Law of Total Tricks would underestimate it. Anyway, let's say that the bidding goes like this. 3 diamonds, and the next hand bids 3 spades, and the next hand bids 6 diamonds. Alright, so first of all, we expect our partner to have 7 spades, and we have 5, so we have 12 total tricks. It's a bit hard to judge how many trumps the opponents have, but they have this wild distribution. So we know that they've got a void spade for this. So we don't have to look at our two aces and hope that they stand up. So the question is, should we sacrifice? So just like with those part score charts, working out should we bid on or not, you can do similar things for sacrificing. So here they've bid 6 diamonds. It's important to know how the scores work. So this hand is where favourable vulnerability, and when you're favourable vulnerability, sacrificing is a decent idea. But let's work it out. So if they are making 6 diamonds, the score they get for that is 1370. So let's work out how much we can go down. So if we go down 1, it's minus 100, then 300, then 500, 800, 1100, 1400. So 1400 is a bad sacrifice opposite 6 diamonds, so we can go down 5. So 6 spades down 5 is, trying to do some maths, is 7 tricks, I think. Yeah. So if we can even take 7 tricks in spades, then it's a good sacrifice. Now we know for sure that we're going to be taking more than that. So we can sacrifice in 6 spades here with the hope that... but we have to believe that they're making. Now there's no guarantee that they're making, but if they're not making, we know that this one won't be particularly bad. We've got 12 trumps, we've got a good side suit, we've got that extreme hand shape, so that would suggest bidding on. But that's the general guideline of how you can think about sacrifices. How many trumps do we have? And estimating how many tricks you think you're going to take using that. Or thinking about partner's hand. So here, if we thought my partner had 7 spades, I would say I would take 7 spade tricks. We'd lose 2 diamonds and a heart, and maybe a club. We don't know about the club, we might not lose a club. But let's say lose no spades, we lose 1 heart and 2 diamonds. So if we lose that, we're minus 300. If we lose the club, we're minus 500. Both of these are even good sacrifices against a game, but the opponents are in slam. Now if we open up all the cards, what you can see is they have an extreme hand shape as well, and they only lose 1 club if we manage to lead our club. What we lose is 2 diamonds and a heart. We don't lose any clubs. So we are down 2 for minus 300 on this hand. Another thing about way of thinking about this hand is, let's say that when they bid 6 diamonds, we can't lead our ace of clubs and queen of clubs, so we're not going to get our 2 tricks straight away. So they'll probably be able to get rid of their clubs. So I would back that sacrificing is a good idea on this hand. But yeah, again, thinking about how many total trumps you have is a reasonable thing to do. So that's all I really wanted to cover today. So we talked about quite a lot. We talked about how the law of total tricks actually works, which is you imagine if... let's go through it on this hand as well. If you count the number of trumps that your side has in their best fit and the number of trumps the opponents have in their best fit, and imagine that that would be the total number of trumps, and if you counted, then imagine that the hand got played twice. So let's say that North-South played this hand. We can see that North-South lose 3 tricks. They take 10. Okay. And if you look at East-West, their best fit is actually in hearts. They've got a 10-card heart fit and only a 9-card diamond fit. So you imagine that they play in their best fit, which is hearts. Now they take 12 tricks. So they've got 10 hearts and we've got 12 spades. So that would suggest 22 total tricks. Okay. Yeah. So if the contract was played twice, the declaring sides would take 22 total tricks. As you can see, North-South take 10, East-West take 12. So even though it doesn't match up who's got the length, so we've got the 12-card spade suit, we don't take 12 tricks, but the total number of tricks there would suggest how it would go. So East-West with their 10-card heart fit, North-South with their 12-card spade fit, 22 total tricks. You can see that if North-South play it, they take 10 of them, so that would leave 12 with East-West, And you can see that East-West will actually take 12 tricks as well. So this is generally how the law of total tricks actually works. And it's just a guideline for helping you work out when you should bid on. And the four main situations I discussed are preempting, part score battles, major suit raises, and sacrificing. This is lots of the times when you're trying to judge, should I bid on, should I not, how high should I bump the opponents, and those sorts of things like that. Anyway, a few reasons of when it doesn't quite work is big double fits usually would lead to more tricks than what I would suggest. So this hand has a double fits, but only just there, only just for the East-West side. And I would usually expect more tricks some of the time, but not the case here. But extreme hands and double fits can raise the level, and things that might lower the total number of tricks are mirrored hand shapes or short honors. If someone had like a singleton king or things like that, that might lower it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this featured lesson on the law of total tricks, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.